What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 82, I think, of the Be Greyt podcast. On today's episode, I am going to rejoice over a specific game, and then I'm going to be sad and mourn another game, and then I'm going to fill myself with such a level of anger and rage at I'm sure we all know what game I'm talking about when it comes to that, but we'll save that game for last. First, let's start on a happy, at least for me, a happy place here with Oregon versus Penn State. Now, look, there are times in life where you're wrong. There's times in life where you're right. And then there's moments like this where you are so incredibly right. And it just, I got to tell you, it feels so good. It really does. It feels so good. Why am I rejoicing over Oregon Penn State? Because you see, Penn State has this quarterback. His name is Oh, sorry, I can't help but laugh every time I see his name or every time I'm about to say his name because he's a joke. His name's Drew Allar. What have I said all off season? What have I said this entire season? What did I say on Thursday? I said that Drew Allar sucks. That is the motto of this podcast, that Drew Allar sucks. And I told you on Thursday that Penn State was going to lose because Drew Allar sucks. And oh boy, doesn't he just suck. I mean, look, I wasn't able to watch a lot of this game live because obviously I was watching my Dawgs. But a 68 QBR, I was keeping tabs. I have a group chat with my friends, and every so often I would do a Drew Allar check, and I would read off his stats because I was just so confident that no matter what, I knew Drew Allar wouldn't let me down. I knew he'd be terrible, and that's exactly what he was. Drew Allar, 14 for 25, 137 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, although it took them till the fourth quarter? Third quarter. Sorry, no, I was right, fourth quarter. It took them till the fourth quarter to score a touchdown. And then, of course, because it's Drew Allar, there was an interception. Of course, he was completely outplayed by Dante Moore on the other side, who was 29 for 39, 248 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, in 80 QBR. I told you that Drew Allar isn't good. I told you this Penn State defense isn't as good as they usually are, and both of those things were so incredibly true. And this is why I ranted and raged at every single person who wanted to put Penn State at number 1 in the preseason. All these people who were defending, Penn State is a top 3 team. Based off what? Yeah, they're a top 3 team if the list is about teams that can't win a big game, if it's about teams that choke when it matters most, if it's about teams that are overrated. Sure, Penn State's right up there with the best of them. Drew Allar is not a good quarterback. And the people who it took them this long to get with the program should be ashamed of themselves because it was evident last year if you just opened your eyes to reality. If you did that, it was perfectly evident last year. Okay? And look, we're going to get to a team later on who's now being completely overrated because of a win they had this past weekend. And no, it's not Alabama, for those wondering. It's a different team. Although Alabama is being, I mean, do we remember what happened last year? You know what? Let me stop myself. Because we're not at Alabama, Georgia yet. I'll rant about that when we get there. Penn State is massively overrated. This Oregon team is not as good as they were last year, and this Penn State team, who I heard this was their year, still couldn't win. They're lucky this game even got to overtime. They're lucky. But go Ducks, by the way. And by the way, remember when I was saying all offseason how Penn State's wideout is completely overrated? Another example as to why. No one is scared of the wideout. Nobody. Their record in whiteout games isn't even that impressive. So can we stop with this whole whiteout nonsense? Like, oh, well, it is the whiteout. And so? Am I supposed to care? Because I don't. Let's get to Ole Miss LSU. I don't know what the issue is with this LSU offense, but they got to get it figured out, and they got to get it figured out quick. Because this is unacceptable. Garrett Nussmeier is a good quarterback, and yet he sure isn't playing like it. He has the talent around him. You wouldn't know from watching the team. And the team, by the way, who I think is being completely overrated after this last weekend, is absolutely Ole Miss. Ole Miss is now ranked number 4. I mean, people are really acting like Ole Miss won this game by 3 touchdowns. LSU was down and should have came back and won. But the offense was not great, to put it lightly. And it's hard to be great when your leading rusher is Harlem Berry, and that leading rusher had 22 yards rushing, averaging barely over 3 yards a carry. It's hard when your quarterback is 21 for 34. He's doesn't even hit 200 yards passing. Has another interception. It's not good. Your best running back, who I think is Aaron Anderson, quiet day, 2 catches for 12 yards. It's what you cannot have in a big game like this, especially when you're on the road at Ole Miss. And look, Trinidad Chambliss, I give him all the credit in the world. He's come in a backup role, and he has played great. And he'll probably be the guy for the rest of the season. But people need to calm down about Ole Miss. Ole Miss is not the best team in the country. Ole Miss is not a national title contender. We know how this story goes with Ole Miss, with Lane Kiffin. Okay? let me look up their schedule real quick. So watch me go ahead and predict how this is going to go for you. Okay? So their next game, they have a bye this week. And then they have Washington State at home. That's obviously a win. Washington State's not good. They're going to lose to Georgia on October 18th. And we'll get to Georgia when I go to the Bama-Georgia game at the end. Ole Miss is losing to Georgia on October 18th. Ole Miss then has to go to Oklahoma. Now, if John Mateer is back and is playing in this game, Ole Miss can lose that game too. And in typical Lane Kiffin fashion, he could very easily lose those 2 games. And if we're talking about a typical Lane Kiffin season right now, if we're being completely honest about Lane Kiffin, what would be the most Lane Kiffin thing ever? It would be to lose to Georgia and Oklahoma back-to-back. and then lose to Mississippi State at the end of the season. That would be the most Lane Kiffin thing ever. And I can totally see it happen. I can totally see it happening. So can everyone just calm down about Ole Miss? Okay? Calm down. Look, if Ole Miss goes out there, they beat Georgia, and then they go out and they beat Oklahoma, okay, obviously they're a really good football team. I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, Lane Kiffin has done better in big games these past few years. But every so often, he lets old Lane Kiffin just creeps back in. And I don't believe in this Ole Miss team. I still think the defense is suspect. And I think the offense is obviously good because it's Lane Kiffin. But, I mean, Trinidad Chambliss threw for over 300 yards, and you only have 24 points to show for it. And you also had 87 yards rushing from Lacey. Only 24 points to show for it. I'm just saying. LSU has to get it back on the rails here. They have to get this offense figured out. This is unacceptable offensive play. Texas A&M Auburn. I just wonder how quickly Hugh Freeze is going to be fired, to be honest. I wonder if it's soon. Because this is now the second week in a row that the offense has looked awful. It was better against Oklahoma, but against Texas A&M on Saturday, oh boy, did it look terrible. Oh boy, did it look just genuinely awful. It was bad. Jackson Arnold, 18 for 33, 125 yards passing, a 35 QBR. And keep in mind, Marcel Reed at Texas A&M didn't have a good QBR either. And it still felt like Auburn was not in that game for a second. Marcel Reed and Jackson Arnold had the exact same QBR of a 35.1. Marcel Reed actually had an interception, unlike Jackson Arnold. But you let Le'Veon Moss have 21 carries for 139 yards. That's almost 7 yards a carry. Now, the problem that Auburn's in is that, number one, obviously, Hugh Freeze's buyout is a lot of money. Number two, if you do fire him, how many of those players are going to leave you? Cam Coleman might leave you. Deuce Knight might leave you. Because they're going to go they can get a bag in the portal, I can promise you that. It was rumored that if Cam Coleman entered the portal, he'd probably get $3 million to probably go to Ohio State or something, or Texas. That's probably where he would end up, Ohio State or Texas, the ones who really love to pay for their receivers. Probably Texas, though, if we're being honest. Auburn is wasting talent with middle-of-the-road quarterbacks, and that might be, honestly, too nice, calling them middle of the road. They're mediocre at best, quarterbacks. And they're wasting the talent they have on their roster. They have a really good defense, but your defense cannot be. Your defense is not going to be sustainable when your offense is just so bad. And it's not going to get any easier for Auburn. Okay? It's not going to get any easier. They have a bye this week, and then they get Georgia at home, and then they get Missouri at home. Those are two teams who can absolutely beat you. Then you get Arkansas, who's terrible. You get Kentucky, who's terrible. Vanderbilt, no joke. Mercer, terrible. Alabama, no joke. How many more games is Auburn even going to win? They're currently 3-2. They could go on a 4-game losing streak, win 2 games, lose, and then lose the last 2 out of 3, and not even make a bowl. Would it shock me at all if Auburn finishes the season 5-7? Absolutely not. It would not shock me. Sorry, not 5-7, 6-6. Would it shock me if they finished 6-6? No, it wouldn't. It would not shock me if the rest of their wins are Arkansas, Kentucky, and Mercer, and that's it. And that is simply not good enough. It's not good enough. And I'm sure Hugh Freeze knows that. And how can you not fire a guy who goes 6-6 in year 3 when you're in the SEC? How can you not fire him? But let me just get to the game I really want to talk about. And that's Alabama, Georgia. Let me just try and just go through this here piece by piece. A lot of Georgia fans are going to, and I've already seen it, they want to blame Mike Bobo. They want to blame Gunnar Stockton. They want to blame Kirby on the 4th-and-1 play, and for not kicking the field goal or for doing a hurry up, whatever. They want to blame Nate Frazier for the fumble inside the 10. They want to point out these singular issues. The reality is it's everything as a collective. Was Mike Bobo an issue? I would say yes, specifically in the second half. But I would also argue Glenn Schumann and that defense was an issue in the first half. If you're going to call out Mike Bobo, you better also be calling out Glenn Schumann for the fact that Alabama, on your turf, went, 7 for 7, 8 for 8, whatever it was on third down. So to start the game, starts the game with 2 14-play drives for touchdowns. And I understand that Kirby and Glenn are really good at making adjustments. And you saw that in the second half, where Alabama didn't score a single point in the second half. But why does it always have to be adjustments? Why can't you just come into the game fired up and dominating? Why can't you do that? Why are you incapable of doing that? You were incapable of doing it against Tennessee, and now once again you're incapable of doing it against Alabama. Why? And it was 2 different scenarios. In Tennessee, it was the explosive plays. Look, at least in this game, you were able to stop the explosive plays, although Ryan Williams should have had one, but he dropped it. But instead, this time, they just grinded you out right down the field. And you let it happen. Time and time again. And offensively, look, I'm not one of those that likes to blame Bobo for everything. I think the UGA fans that do that are doing more harm than good. I think they're lying to themselves. I think they're inaccurate. I think Bobo is way better than any of these fans than any of these fans think that he is. Okay, we went 3-and-out to start the game against Alabama, and everyone immediately said Mike Bobo. Gunnar Stockton had Colby Young wide open for a first down on second down and just missed him. That's not on Mike. That's on Gunnar missing a wide open man. And I don't think it's all on Gunnar. I do wish he would take some more shots and trust himself more. because I think the O-line played good. I think they played really good. We were running the ball so well. It blows my mind that Alabama didn't score a single point in the second half. And we were running the ball so well. Chauncey Bowens had 12 carries for 119 yards. He was averaging almost 10 yards a carry. And we still couldn't win. With a team in Georgia who's known as a 60-minute team, who's known to just fight till the bell rings. A team who's in the past been known to have their best quarter in the fourth quarter. And the fourth quarter, they fell flat. And look, there were things that didn't help. Nate Frazier fumbling inside his own 10 doesn't help. I love Nate. But if I see him get a huge workload from here on out, I'm going to lose my mind. Chauncey Bowens is playing better than him. Dwight Phillips is playing better than him. And they're both taking care of the ball, unlike Nate. And they ended up getting a field goal off of that. Oh, what did Georgia lose by? 3 points, by the way. Cannot happen. And it happens too often with Nate. He fumbles every other game. You had the deep shot to Taylor, dropped. If the number 11 as a wide receiver for Georgia needs to be banned. It's when the player puts that jersey on that says number 11, they all of a sudden cannot catch. We saw it with Arian Smith. We're seeing it again with Taylor. Ban the number. Ban number 11. I don't want to see it again. But that should have been a touchdown. The 4th and 1. Georgia should have dominated this game, even with how Alabama started. Do you even realize Georgia should have won this game 35-21? They should have won this game by 2 touchdowns. Because the field goal should have never happened for Alabama if you don't fumble the ball. If Taylor catches that ball, that's a touchdown. And then the 4th and 1. Let's get to the 4th and 1. I don't have an issue with going for the 4th and 1. My issue is how you did it. Why are you going hurry up? Just to hand the ball to Cash Jones, who had 2 carries all game for -7 yards. When you have Chauncey Bowens, who is averaging almost 10 yards a carry, or Josh McCray, who is a straight up bowling ball, or Dwight Phillips. All those guys I just named, better than Cash Jones. And yet you decide to go hurry up and just hand it to Cash Jones. And oh, shocker, you lost yards. Couldn't have seen that coming. Because you see, it's a comedy of errors. 1, why are you hurrying up? Why? You think you're going to catch them off guard? That literally never works. It literally never works. Because, yeah, sure, you're hurrying up the defense. You're also hurrying up yourself. I would have rather you just take a timeout and talk about it and come up with a really good play. Because, I don't know, the play was kind of crucial. Second, why are we handing it to Cash Jones when we have Chauncey Bowens, who is averaging almost 10 yards a carry? Was he tired? I don't care. Go out there and get a yard and then fall down, and then you can come sit down. Why? Cash Jones is our 4th string running back at best. Why? Because you wanted to surprise him? Well, that failed, didn't it? You didn't surprise anybody. And thirdly, you know what would have happened if you would have taken your time and not done hurry up? They probably would have reviewed the play. I've seen so many angles of that third down run by Gunner. I haven't seen a single one that tells me he didn't get that first down. And yet you decided to go hurry up and not give them time to review it. That's the most damning thing of all time. That's the most damning thing in that whole scenario. And I just don't understand why, when it comes to Alabama, Georgia decides to be dumb. Every other game, we play so smart. Kirby makes the right decisions. We do the right thing. And then we play Alabama, and it's like we just try and be, it's like we overthink it. And I just don't understand. I'll tell you this, going forward, am I necessarily worried about Georgia when it comes as to a national title uh, national title contender? No, I'm not worried about that. The reality is, with the expanded playoff and all that stuff, losing one game to Alabama doesn't matter in the long term. It doesn't. Um, I believe Georgia can go undefeated the rest of the season. I think Ole Miss is being overrated right now. Texas doesn't seem like that big of a threat. It's just a matter of not getting upset by any of these other teams. Don't get upset against Auburn, who's coming off a bye at home. Because trust me, I am a little bit worried about that. But at the end of the day, if Auburn can't move the ball, which, hey, with our defense, Auburn will get a free 14 points at the beginning of the game. But hey, whatever. My overarching whatever thoughts going forward is, I think at the end of the day, we're at a place where this game is Alabama's Super Bowl. They apparently every single season are going to play their best game against us. And look, that's okay. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. If they want to go and they want to play their best game against us and then go lose to Vanderbilt, that's fine. That's fine. If it makes you feel better, whatever. Since, the dynasty is so dead that this is the last thing you have to cling on to is this record against Georgia, by all means. But I still believe in this team, mainly because I don't think there's any great team in college football. I really don't. Ohio State has their flaws. They did not look good against Washington yesterday, and the refs sure did help them out. That roughing the passer call on Julian Sayin was so ridiculous. If the quarterback does not fall down, we should not be calling roughing the passer. Okay? That's just my general rule. Oregon, they looked good against Penn State, but I don't believe in Penn State, and Oregon really let them back into the game when they shouldn't have. Who's another one? Ole Miss. Yeah, sure, they beat LSU, who I believe is a national title contender, but LSU isn't playing like a national title contender, and LSU had multiple chances to win that game, and they let it slip. Miami, don't make me laugh. I'm very excited to see Miami versus Florida State this weekend. I'm very intrigued to see how that goes. By the way, how about the Virginia Cavaliers upsetting Florida State last week? That was fun. That was fun. I was watching that game, saw the field storm. It was crazy. In the pick'ems, I'm apparently, this is what I'm going to do all year. I literally am going back and forth where I'm going 5-5, and then I go 8-2, 5-5, and then 8-2, 5-5. Because I went 5-5 week 1, and then week 2 I had a good week. Week 3, I went 5-5. Week 4, I had a good week. And then this past weekend, guess what? I went 5-5. So I'm due for a really good weekend here coming up. What is my overall record? Let's see. It was 31. I'm 31-19. I am not on pace to do better than last season. Last season I went 84-32. So that is the goal, is to do better than that. Now, granted, I'm doing more picks than that this year because I think that adds up to 100. I'm doing more than 100 picks. So I'll kind of just have to see how it goes and then kind of calculate which one's better. But we shall see. But overall, feeling good. Week 6 coming up. Have those picks out on Thursday. Have a few interesting picks. Have a few upsets that I'm predicting. But we will go over that on Thursday. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. Please do not forget to go out there into the world and be great.